Hey everybody, Tim here with today's episode of Star Trek Voyager, Season 3, Episode 25, The Worst Case Scenario. This episode was great. I really liked it. I was super into it. So from the very beginning, you can kind of tell things are not quite what they seem, but I just kind of go along with it. I just play along, where it starts out with Chakotay asking B'Elanna, like, if she wants to participate in a Maquis mutiny. And I mean, we haven't even heard the name Maquis in quite a while, so you're like, okay, so what's going on? There's a really great shot that I loved, where B'Elanna's at a station in the back of the bridge, and she looks over, and Janeway kind of crosses the bridge, and I think this is the first time we've really seen the bridge from that perspective, because you can kind of see the view screen and all the people kind of around. It was just a really good shot. I loved it. Seska ends up showing up, and again, so already you're like, okay, is it like time travel? What's going on? And then eventually, like, as this mutiny's building up and Chakotay's shooting everybody, Tom is like, B'Elanna, what's going on? And you turn, and it turns out that this has been a holodeck program, and B'Elanna, like, freezes the program. So somebody has created a holonovel about if the Maquis had basically staged a coup, did a mutiny, took over the ship, because Janeway goes off to do like some diplomatic mission with Tom, and it's really interesting. It's kind of fun to watch. Tom decides to restart the program, and it's almost the exact same thing, just from the beginning, where like Chakotay and now Tom are walking through the hall, and they start talking about mutiny and stuff. And it's kind of a fun scene where Janeway's like, well, I'm going to go see Tom in the shuttle bay, and you can hear Tom over the comm system, but the real Tom is looking around like, oh, that's weird. So I really liked that. Nobody knows who wrote the holonovel because it's encrypted, but what stood out to me was that it was called Insurrection Alpha, only because the movie Insurrection has not yet come out when this episode was made, but I just kind of thought it was funny that, hey, there was an episode of The Next Generation called First Contact, and there's an episode of Voyager called Nemesis, and hey, now we have this. I mean, it's not the name of the episode, but the name of the program is Insurrection. I don't know, stupid stuff like that jumps out at me. So eventually, Tuvok does admit that he wrote the program, and it's almost like what was that storyline called? Batman had a storyline, Babel, I think is what it was, where Batman had a storyline where if he had to disable the Justice League, how would he do it type storyline. And that's kind of what Tuvok did. He wrote this holonovel for younger cadets to basically see, hey, if the Maquis do try to take over, what could we do about it? And then, as he admits, like, as he saw the teams actually start to work together, he decided, you know what, I should stop where I'm at. Which just so happens, Tom comes to the end of the novel, and everybody wants an ending. They say like 33 people have ran this holonovel program, which is like a third of the crew, because I think there's only like roughly 140 people. So Tuvok decides to team up with Tom and finish the holonovel, and as he's doing so, Seska takes over. And at this point, I'm like, when is the end of this episode? Like, this episode felt like it was a two-parter. It felt so long, but it was still enjoyable. Like, I really liked watching it. So it turns out that Seska found the program over a year ago, and she was kind of insulted by it, so she wrote her own program. And so now Tom and Tuvok are locked in the holodeck, and basically like the safety protocols are turned off and all sorts of stuff, and they're just being chased. And like Tom gets shot, and the doctor like injects him with stuff and like throws him out, and they're just being abused and tortured. Of course, by the time we get to the end of the episode, they figure out a way to stop it. Everything goes back to normal. They win the program, and things kind of go back to normal. But it was a really interesting episode. I liked the end where it's basically all of the bridge crew talking about, like, you guys should do more. And Tom even says, you know, like, I've always thought about writing holonovels, so maybe I'll give it a shot. Which is kind of foreshadow, because he does later on write some interesting ones. And they start throwing out ideas like, oh, do a Western or do a detective story, which I like because both of those things happened in The Next Generation, where Alexander wrote the Western story and then Picard had the Dix Hill detective story. So I liked that. And then Chakotay's like, do whatever you want, as long as I'm not the bad guy. Which I loved, because again, a little bit of a spoiler, when Tom does start writing his new holonovel, Chakotay's not the bad guy, but Janeway's the villain of the series. So I thought that was kind of cool. Again, a little bit of foreshadow going on in there. Overall, I thought it was a great episode, a really good penultimate episode, because next we have the season finale, and then we're going into season 4 with a lot of big changes. So thank you guys for watching this one. Thank you guys for subscribing, the likes, everything, and I will see you guys next time for the 2-part episode, Scorpion.